So here's a huge question for our time. Can AI actually help us save the animal kingdom? Or is it just going to end up reflecting our own worst habits right back at us? It's a big one. Let's really dig in and see what the science tells us about AI's powerful and sometimes pretty surprising role in the lives of animals.
To really get a feel for this, let's go way back. This quote from Chief Seattle all the way from 1854. It hits hard, right? It reminds you that this tension between our technology and the natural world, well, it's not new. We've been grappling with the consequences of our own progress for centuries. And today, that smoking iron horse he talked about, you could say that's AI. And we really do need a new way of thinking, a new tool, because right now we are facing two massive crises at the same time. On one hand, there's a biodiversity crisis, and on the other, there's a crisis in the very ethics of how we even get our knowledge. I mean, look at these numbers. They are absolutely staggering. We're losing species at a rate we've never seen before. And at the same time, we are flying blind. The IUCN, which is the global authority on this stuff, has only been able to properly assess less than 2% of the world's estimated 8 million species. Think about that. We're missing almost the entire picture. And then there's this. Our main way of testing new drugs and chemicals involves somewhere between 50 and 100 million animals in painful experiments every single year.
Okay, so with that pretty grim backdrop, this is where AI comes into the picture. And not just as some abstract, futuristic idea, but as a real set of tools that could fundamentally change how we interact with the entire animal kingdom. So, the first big promise, and it's a huge one, is about creating a more humane science. And it starts with that incredibly controversial practice, animal testing. AI gives us this powerful new way to actually implement what's called the 3 R's of ethical research. First up is replacement. Instead of live animals, AI can create these digital clones or help power organ-on-a-chip models that mimic our biology. So you can just replace the animal altogether. Then there's reduction. AI's predictive power is amazing. It can screen thousands of potential drugs to find the ones that are actually promising. This means way, way fewer animals are needed for testing in the first place. And finally, refinement. AI systems can monitor animals in real time during a study, giving scientists immediate feedback to minimize any pain or distress. It's a total game changer. Okay, so this is already a massive leap forward for animal welfare, right? But what if AI could do even more? What if it could go beyond just making our labs more humane and actually help us understand animals, to bridge that huge communication gap between us and them? And believe it or not, this isn't science fiction. It's happening right now in some incredible projects. Take Project CT. They're using AI to try and decode the super complex clicking patterns of sperm whales. I mean, they're basically trying to learn whale speak. Then you've got this tool called Deep Squeak. It analyzes the ultrasonic squeaks of lab rats, sounds we can't even hear, and it can tell the difference between a happy squeak, which is kind of like rat laughter, and a call of distress. And then there are platforms like Wildbook. They use computer vision to identify individual animals just from a photo, so researchers can track whole populations without ever having to tag or capture them. Just amazing. So, up to this point, this all sounds like a techno-optimist's dream, right? AI is saving the day. But this is where the story takes a really sharp turn, because some recent research has uncovered a pretty fundamental flaw in how AI sees the natural world. I mean, with all this incredible power to process data and spot patterns, it's so tempting to ask, right? Can't we just hand conservation over to an AI, let it tell us which species are in danger and exactly what we should do about it? Well, according to one massive study, the answer to that is a hard no. And this is where we run into this really critical paradox. When you ask an AI to do a simple knowledge task, like, hey, what's the taxonomy of this animal? It's amazing, almost 95% accurate. But then when you ask it to make a judgment, to actually reason about that animal's threats and decide its conservation status, like endangered, its accuracy just tanks. It drops all the way down to about 27%. And this is what the researchers have dubbed the knowledge reasoning gap. It's this massive chasm between an AI's ability to act like a super fast search engine and its total inability to act like a real expert. It can tell you what something is, no problem, but it really, really struggles to tell you what it all means. So what's going on here? Why does this happen? Well, the problem isn't just random error. Actually, the way AI fails is incredibly predictable. And it turns out, it tells us a lot more about ourselves than it does about the technology. You see, AI doesn't just fail randomly. It fails by holding up a mirror to our own biases. These models are trained on just enormous amounts of text that we humans have created. Scientific papers, news articles, websites, the whole shebang. And in that process, they don't just learn our knowledge. They learn our blind spots. They learn our priorities. They learn all of our built-in biases. Just look at this chart, for example. It breaks down the AI's accuracy by the type of organism it's looking at. Its performance on vertebrates, mammals, birds, fish, is way better than its performance on something like fungi. And why is that? It's pretty simple, actually. It's because we humans write a ton more and care a lot more about lions and evils than we do about mushrooms and mold. The AI is just reflecting our own taxonomic chauvinism, as some people call it. The researchers who did this study put it perfectly. They said the AI's performance reflects the, quote, asymmetries in the conservation knowledge base. In other words, the popular, charismatic animals we love have this super rich record, so the AI has a lot to learn from. But the less studied groups, they suffer from a lack of data, and so the AI's ability to reason about them suffers right along with it. Now, this doesn't mean we should just throw AI out the window for conservation. Not at all. But it does mean we have to be a whole lot smarter about how we use it. What we really need is a new kind of partnership.
So here's the kind of new division of labor that's being proposed. Let the AI do what it's brilliant at, processing information. Use it to instantly search and summarize mountains of scientific papers to triage evidence. But we leave the judgment part to the human experts. They're the ones who can actually weigh uncertain evidence, who can apply ethical principles, and who can make those final, critical calls about a species' fate.
So when you boil it all down, AI is not some magic bullet for conservation. It's an absolutely indispensable assistant, but a flawed one. It can supercharge our ability to process information, but it can't, and it shouldn't, replace our responsibility to make wise and ethical judgments. And that really brings us to the final and maybe most important thought. If AI really is this powerful mirror that reflects our collective knowledge and our biases back at us, well then its failures are just as important as its successes. They point out exactly where our own knowledge is thin, which species we've been ignoring, and where our own priorities have been skewed. So maybe the real question isn't just what AI can do for the animal kingdom. Maybe it's, what can its reflection teach us about ourselves?